So we're knocking on the door, but at the
He
end of
was
the day,
watching
we
it
need
with
a.
us, Spider, and I think he had no idea that I have any involvement with Rubbin, and he was just like, I take the Rubbin's racing guys picks every week, and they never win. Like he's like, I'm cursed.
I need a Frank the Tank rant on camera. If that happens again, let me get the camera rolling.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the Rubbin is Racing podcast brought to you by NASCAR. NASCAR's got a full schedule this weekend. We got a doubleheader on Saturday out in Pocono, out in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Got the Truck Series racing Saturday at noon Eastern Time. You got the Xfinity Saturday evening at 5:30. The Explore the Poconos Mountain 225. So those both are on Saturday. And it's going to culminate with the big race on Sunday. The High Point 400 is Sunday. It's starting at 2:30 p.m. You can catch all the action on USA. We're back. Full house. Got Liam behind the ones and twos. Quick's my immediate right. I got Spider looking down on us right now. He's just propped up a little bit. And I'm back, thankfully. We may or may not have Martin Truex in a little bit. We were trying to jam into his schedule. It's a shortened schedule, obviously, with the Monday race. But we may or may not have Martin Truex. We'll see in a second. I know people sort of gravitated towards the draft we had done with car paint schemes. We're going to do one today again. It's going to be best trophies, just because there's been so much talk about trophies lately. Other than that, let's get right into it. We get some great DMs. One I got from a guy who's got a fucking name, Tom Van Denevond. I mean, that's like a Van Giesenberg type thing.
I was going to say,
yeah,
that's SVG's cousin.
Yeah, TVDA. It just sounds wealthy. We were talking about where Montreal potentially fits into next year's schedule. That was a Spidey scoop. Don't let Bob Pockris fool you. That was a Spidey scoop. So with Montreal next year, we were trying to figure out where fit in the schedule. According to Tom, he's like, I'm not an insider. I just listened to a lot of podcasts and a lot of chatter. He heard plans that Montreal will replace Fontana, right, because Fontana's off the schedule. But they're going to move Sonoma to the spring and then slide Montreal into Sonoma's date. The idea is to have Sonoma be lush and green compared to the brown it is when they have the June race. I love this.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Fontana runs in that early season West Coast swing, that late February, early March, while Sonoma is mid-June. So we've been out West Coast for both of those times, and even though Sonoma is a great, great experience, it's a little bit burnt out mid-June. Like we spent a lot of time maybe too much time in the vineyards, Spider and I. And it, like I said, a great experience. But you put Sonoma in that spring spot when everything is green and the temps are in the 60s, and then Montreal in June. Those are two great destinations that make almost too much sense. And I know I told you guys before, I got Joe Beef in my pocket. That's my place in Montreal. I take you guys there in June, knocks your eye out. I get you guys in Sonoma, right, having some, I don't know, chewy Pinot Noirs or buttery Shards in fucking spring. You and I, Quigs, forget about
Quigs. We're going to have to get you out there.
I know. I need to start traveling. So
if Tom Van Denevond has anything to say about it, and we believe in one, this isn't a Spidey scoop because we know it's been around.
It's a compliment to the Spidey scoop because I said that it would be it would be replacing the Fontana date, but not. I guess I kind of minced my words. Not the date. I guess the race. I should have said. Because the dates are obviously subject to change and however NASCAR feels with their schedule and the order of said races. But I think what Tom says checks out, and I'm under the same belief. I mean, it makes sense too.
Remember how hot we were at those vineyards? I wound up stepping into like 3 or 4 different fountains for no reason at all.
You almost got us thrown out.
Yeah, I almost got us thrown out of that last place. But so I mean, I couldn't be more bullish on both of those locations and at both of those times. Not a ton headlines wise this week. Normally I wouldn't give a fuck about this next one, but I had seen that supercar champion Brody Kostecki, who's from Perth in Western Australia, is scheduled to make his NASCAR Cup Series debut with RCR at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course in August. I don't care about Brody Kostecki. Like, normally these are things that I just glance over, but since SVG came in and, horse pounded everybody else in Chicago, perhaps this guy has a shot. I don't know, but if this guy comes from Perth, I don't know how what he's done in Supercar. I know that SVG was very, very successful there. But if he comes and he wins this race, I think it changes the complexions of road course racing from here on out.
It'd be bad for NASCAR if he won. But I think Chicago's so much different than what the NASCAR drivers are used to that I don't think he'll do. But I mean, I didn't think SVG was going to do anything either.
It's like Talladega Nights. Like when the new guy comes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Pepe Lippi.
Yeah, and as much as his name is. As much as I downplayed SVG's win for a bunch of reasons, right? The shortened race and the rain and all that kind of stuff, and the new course and the single lane restarts. I think it's important that this guy doesn't win.
Yeah.
It doesn't win at the Brickyard. Somebody do JJ Yelly, hook him into the wall, do something. Let's make sure this son of a bitch. Let's keep it in the United States. Go USA. And that's it. So before we get into what had happened this weekend, I want to be in a good race this weekend, even though it was a dominant performance by Martin. So before we get into all the details, I want to mention that this episode is brought in part by this show, FX Justified, City Primeval. It's based on the best-selling novel by Elmore Leonard. Justified, they give us all this copy, and the copy has you like, they're spelling out people's names. Marshall, Ray Lynn, Give Vins, like telling, I know all about this show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, Justified. So after being on a hiatus, it's back for another 8 episodes, I think. I watched the first one last night. So you couldn't have a better person tell people to watch this goddamn thing. I tell people all the time, go back and watch Banshee. I love the show Banshee. I thought it was elite. Justified is one of those ones too, particularly if you like a modern cowboyish type tale. Raylan Givens, one of the best characters in TV, and he's back. He's a little bit grayer. His hat's a little more dirtier, but it's the same exact thing. He's up in Detroit fighting these sociopaths. It's awesome. And you can get it every Tuesday. The episodes don't drop until 10 p.m., which caught me for a loop a little bit last night. But you can stream it on Hulu, or you can catch it live every Tuesday on FX. That's Justified, City Primeval, and they're one of our sponsors, so I just mentioned them.
10 o'clock's too late for you?
No, I thought, I'm so spoiled by, Disney Plus putting out a Mandalorian. If it's going to come out on a Thursday, it comes out at 12:01. You know what I mean? So I just thought that these things would come out. I'm also so spoiled, watching stuff back, that I can watch 5 or 6 episodes. Yeah. Kind of sets me back a little bit, having to wait week to week. That's it. But anyway, it's worthwhile. I say you guys should watch it. Recap from the weekend. Joe Gibbs swept the weekend, right? We got John Hunter goes back-to-back for his 4th win in the season at New Hampshire. He's the odds-on favorite in the Barstool Sportsbook for futures for the Xfinity Championship. I think Austin Hill is close on his heels, but congratulations to John Hunter. And then Heavy Rains give us our 3rd Monday race this year. Martin Truex has won 2 of them, and he now has 4 Monday Cup wins. So the Monday Martin thing is real.
I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it seems to be something that you're an idiot if you don't throw a couple of bets on, and I'm unfortunately not allowed to for a relationship that I have with the winner. Truex dominated throughout this thing. Dominated the first stage. He had a sub 10-second pit after lap 30, and then he ran down Byron. I don't know if you guys have watched a lot of racing this year, but Byron has been impossible to catch.
Yeah.
Right? So to see Truex, just kind of hunt him down, it's like everything had changed. He went on to win stage 2, captured the checkered flag for his 3rd win this season, the 34th of his career, and he led 254 out of the 301 laps. It's his first win in New Hampshire, and it was in a dominant fashion. Chris Bell, his teammate, had said, "You've led more laps here than I've run here." And he hadn't had a win. So this is a little bit of a monkey off of Martin's back, and he became the 2nd driver to sweep all 3 stages in a NASCAR Cup Series race this season.
Which we talked about that.
Right beforehand.
Yeah.
And that the odds weren't good enough.
It's not worth it. Don't do it. The odds aren't there, and he did it. So that would have been a nice plus.
Do we know what the odds were this week?
It was plus 540, which, I don't know. I'll never take it at those odds, but he did it, so...
Because at the beginning of the season, it was plus 750.
Yeah.
I think Byron did it in Vegas. I think that's when it happened the first time.
Yeah, I think this is the 2nd time it's happened this season.
Yeah, and I thought it was William Byron on one of them. So, it's one, I guess, to keep an eye on. But like we said, we didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to touch Martin, and I didn't want to touch that, and both of them hit. So
Large. I think
congratulations.
everyone else touched Martin Truex. I mean, the discrepancy between his odds on Sunday morning versus Monday morning pre-race were, I think, like a difference of plus 200.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a Monday came around and everyone is privy to the Monday Martin narrative. Everyone hammered him. I didn't get involved pre-race, but I did get involved live because, as you guys said,
I
he
was
ran
just
away with the
walking
thing.
around the office on Monday, just getting
Telling
everyone I
everyone.
know, which is a risky thing because if it loses, everybody's mad at you. But yeah, I was just got to bet Martin Truex today.
I think Frank the Tank has been riding our picks, and he's getting a little frustrated.
Yeah,
so we
you
got
missed
to come
it,
up. We
Spider.
got to come up with a winner on these boosted picks that we have on the sports book. Spider and I have to collectively put our heads together and win Frank some money. What
I
were you saying,
mean,
Lee? Okay.
we had second and third between Logano and Larson, so we're knocking on the door. But at the
He
end of
was
the day,
watching
we
it
need
with us, Spider, and I think he had no idea that I have any involvement with Rubbin, and he was just like, I take the Rubbin's racing guys picks every week, and they never win. Like he's like, I'm cursed.
I need a Frank the Tank rant on camera. If that happens again, let me get the camera rolling.
We should.
Yeah, it was good. A Monday race every once in a while, I kind of like.
Oh,
we
love
just
it.
did nothing all day yesterday, pretty much.
Yeah.
like everybody here
That
was
was
just
great.
watching it all day.
I'll
It was
take a
kind of
Monday
fun.
race whenever.
I sat
with
down
you.
and
I
watched
mean-
it. Yeah, I sat down and watched it at home. It is. I mean, the stands are not as full. I went on some live stream that Dale does, or Chase does. Which one of them does it? One of the garage guys, and there wasn't a lot of people on it because it was a Monday race, but it was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and it was nice, and it was a beautiful day too. What were you saying, Spider?
I love primetime racing, and I know obviously Monday afternoon's not exactly prime time, but like when we mix up the scheduling or like there's unique airing times for these races, I enjoy it a lot. Same vibe in the Chicago office. We had it on the big screen there, and a lot of people were invested. Jack McCarthy took your Truex pick, and a couple other guys, so it was really fun.
Also, the way it was done, like it wasn't like one of those things where you're on like the edge all Sunday and they race a few and whatever. It's like Sunday morning, they're like, hey, it's not happening. Save all your energy for Monday. Watch it during work. Like that. I love that.
And it seemed like he was a little bit more efficient. I'm going to come out and say it that I am now part of everybody else in the world. NBC does a better job at broadcasting these races than Fox does. NBC USA versus Fox and FS1. So that was my first race, like watching it live with the NBC coverage, and I enjoyed myself.
And as a graphics guy, they have some great graphics to like explain things, like the brake rotors, stuff like that. That it just adds a lot to the broadcast.
I like Dale Jr.'s pit walk, the grid walk before. I mean, Michael Waltrip does a great job, and he's like hilarious and funny.
Yeah.
But I think NBC beats him in that regard.
Yeah.
What did you got reached out to by Dale's people, right? There's a chance we're in a car with them coming up?
Yeah,
or
so
can we
I
break
woke
that?
up to a DM. I woke up to a DM from NASCAR this morning, which I loved. Getting a DM from their main account was massive for my ego. I digress. They asked me like, "Hey, any availability at Richmond? Would you have any interest in doing a ride along with Dale Jr.?" And I was like, "This is a rhetorical question, guys. Of course I'm there." So
have
yeah,
to.
hopefully we can make that come to fruition. And I mean, Dale Jr. is one of my favorites. So I'm not missing that opportunity.
And so Dale had Will Compton on the show, right? I think he had him on his podcast, and then having potentially the Rubbin guys do like a little drive-through to it. I like the fact that there's some synergies there, right? NASCAR podcasts and competing ones, if you want to call it that, are pretty friendly nowadays. So it's kind of nice for us.
I also just got the follow from Dale Jr. on Twitter, so I think we're well on our way to becoming like close personal friends. So there's another feather in the cap.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a marriage made in heaven. What did you think? What were your over and unders, your takeaways from this week, Spider?
So I obviously got to start with an over on Martin Truex. He just delivered, and he ran away with the race. Every restart, I mean, there were little questionable ones where I thought, oh no, maybe his car isn't how it was earlier in the race, but no, never a doubt. Truex made it happen. So he's my over, and I'm going to really harp on him. Let's go straight to the unders because these guys were all in contention. They all had great cars. However, they finished pretty poorly. and that's his teammate Christopher Bell, who was the second favorite to win this race. Slightly more juicy odds than Martin Truex, and he finished 29th. So I needed more from him given the car that he was capable of having. And same goes for Ryan Blaney, who finished 22nd. Now, I know he had the penalty for running over the equipment on the pit stop there. I know Bell was screwed by his pit crew, who was a little sloppy in this race. But the end of the day, they had two of the fastest cars, and I needed more of them, 22nd and 29th respectively.
The Bell hype for this race, I didn't really get. Because he was the favorite before it moved to Monday. And I know he like had a shot, but like to put him above Martin Truex, like I don't know, he never like worried me as like, oh, I don't want to take Martin Truex because Bell's going to beat him. I just really didn't understand how he was.
I mean, the way Truex has been running, it had to be Truex as the pick there. Yeah. I said it last week. I said if I went aside from Brad Kay and Joey Logano, would be Martin Truex. I'm kind of kicking myself. Like I said, I got him live, but I would have loved to get him pre-race for much more juicy odds. Yeah. My final under of the race, and this is another guy who I've been super high on all season, and I know you are too, Large. William Byron, 24th. The 24 car finishes 24th. He looked like early in the race that he was gonna, be right up there with Truex, and he could potentially compete for another win. So, seeing his history this season and how successful he's been, I was a little disappointed with him finishing 24th. So those three unders I took, Byron, Bell, and Blaney, all looked like they had great equipment, but for whatever reason finished kind of poorly. So those are my unders. Truex is my only over this week, although I should probably show some love to Eric Jones, who had an 11th place finish, as well as my guy. You know what? Let's go from 9 to 11. Austin Dillon in 9th. I think he's been running good. The Chicago street race, he looked nasty at until he wrecked late. Mm-hmm. Chase Briscoe finished 10th. Stuart Haas kind of on the come up, as well as Harvick with the 4th place finish. And then Eric Jones 11th. I feel like we just have to commend any solid finish from the legacy guys. And Eric Jones. He
did kind of like, I bet Eric Jones top 10.
Top 10, right?
And I was like, he can just not race good all race, and then somehow on the last couple laps just like get up there and finish like in that. And I guess Large beat me out because he had Briscoe top 10. I didn't even realize that Eric Jones was there. He would have been an afterthought. He would have been a bigger winner than Truex winning the race. Was Eric Jones top 10? That's
true. That was juicy odds,
I wasn't even looking at that at the end of the race. Yeah, it was plus 650 is what I got him at.
I think some of your unders all got, like, to your point, Bell, I don't think it was the equipment. Blaney was I thought Blaney was the only car that had a chance to run down Truex.
Yeah.
Seemed like it. And it was pits. It was the pits that got him. I paid such close attention to the way Martin went in and out every time. He had 6 pit stops all in a 10-second window or less, and it was the difference.
Yeah.
So Byron disappeared. I agree with you 100%. But I had seen this thing that Hendrick Motorsports has not won in New Hampshire since 2012. So it's not – I had Larson, and I thought he had a shot, right? Like Larson had a shot there, particularly in that last restart where Joey went high. Like I thought there was a shot there. But, Chase Elliott, who needs a win now. He needs a win.
Yeah.
He finished outside the top 10 with the 12th P12. Bowman got spun late by Ty Gibbs, finishes P14. And like you said, Byron bringing up the rear at 24th. So not a great track for Hendrick. And outside of Larson, not a great day for them at all. So I thought Eric Almirola, too, had a shot, and then his wheel popped out.
Yeah.
So
he was racing very good.
That's the only thing I'm going to say before we leave New Hampshire. Keep in mind that this track, like you try to figure out what this track resembles, all these tracks have all these different personalities. It freaks me out. This one does resemble Phoenix. So I'm going to keep Blaney, Logano, maybe Almirola, and certainly Truex up at the top of my list, as we roll into Phoenix towards the end of the year, because I thought they were all outperformers.
I think Stuart Haas again. I mean, Harvick with the 4th, Briscoe with the 10th place finish, and Almirola, granted, he lost the tire, but he looked really strong. So encouraging things to see from the Stuart Haas camp. And I know I've been kind of critical of them this season so far. So I have to commend what they've been doing at New Hampshire. And then also last thing, 23-11, both cars finished top 10. Reddick 6th, Bubba Wallace 8th. So good stuff on their part as well.
So that's a good afternoon for Denny, right? Because I think Denny was P7. So you have the owner wedged in between his two drivers, right? It's pretty good. And on top of it all, SRX, it's overwhelming. Like, I'm trying to get into the sport, and I'm loving it. I'm fucking loving it. There's no doubt about it. I don't have the bandwidth to add SRX, and I feel like I'm missing out. It was rained out on Thursday. Denny gets the win. They're racing again this Thursday. I think again in Stafford. I'd love to go.
That's my home track, Large.
I know. I'm going to Rayo's tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Thursday, and I can't pass up that reservation. A little bit of a flex there. Otherwise, I'd be tempted to jump out. I'm tempted to jump out to Pocono because I'm hard carded. Just jump out to, Pocono. It's only an hour from northern New Jersey. Why the hell wouldn't I? I'm a cock of the walk.
Triangle.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff, and including this weekend. I think it's IndyCar is racing. I told you about the Truck Series and Xfinity doubleheader on Saturday. Formula One is racing. SRX is racing again on Thursday, and then Cup Series on Sunday. A lot of racing, and there's not a lot else going on. So get into it for Christ's sake. So I don't know if we're going to have Martin. I don't know if we're going to have Truex. And I was kind of hoping that you would kind of pound into him and get the Spidey scoop on the retirement. Is there any way this guy should be considering retirement
he's
now?
Not retired. No.
Can't, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't like where's the retire? Did he ever say he was planning to retire?
Yeah. I mean, apparently.
I feel like this has been a 2-season situation. Last season, granted, he wasn't as strong as he was this year, and he was just saying considering retirement. But now it's like, dog, you're dominating. We can't have this. Is he just? I don't know if he's just trying to
he might just
posture Joe
fish
Gibbs
and sleep for the rest of his life.
He almost got emotional in the post-race interview because Joe Gibbs was like, why is this guy even thinking about that? And maybe he's sandbagging him for more money. Who knows? But like Martin also said, you don't understand. This isn't a show up on Sunday, race your car, and go home type of job. And I think I understand that.
It's also not the hardest job in the world.
No, certainly
I don't
not.
know. I'm
I know
Martin
there's
in
more than just driving it around.
It's
but
a long season, Quigs. You start in February and you go till November and you race.
I know.
We got
to do the season too. The podcast.
You give up every single weekend, and during the week you're just simulating. You're doing stupid media interviews with people that just ask repetitive questions. Will you retire?
Yeah.
So I could see it. He's probably, exhausted.
But so here I'm going to pose this question to you guys, to you three guys. Would he be more inclined to retire? And again, I don't think anyone here thinks he's retiring this year. We're on the same page with that?
So.
Would you think he'd be more or less inclined to retire if he won the championship? Like if he won the championship this year, is it one of those things where like I'm going to walk out into the sunset, mic drop? Or is that I still got more to give, I stay? So
I think a championship makes him more can walk away. I think a really good season without a championship would be there's no chance he's retiring. He'll try to get that, but I don't know.
I
just don't think he's retiring at all, no matter
Bob
what.
Pockrass or one of the journalists asked him post race after his win, something to that tune, and he said it would be pretty cool to win the championship and just ride off into the sunset. So I think if he does pull it out this season, unfortunately, he'd probably just do just that and retire. But I don't know. I'm rooting for his success, yet him to remain in our sport.
I think that's the John Elway. That's kind of a boss move.
Yeah.
Just retire after you win. It's pretty sick.
Absolutely is.
So he's more likely to retire if he wins it all. I mean, that's probably it. Then if he has a successful season where I don't think he's done with wins. I don't and it's technically 4, right? Because he has the Clash. I know it doesn't count. So he's on a high, and I don't think he's done with wins this season. So I'd be disappointed. Obviously, he's my favorite driver. Can we all agree that he owes me big for passing up on betting him every week?
He promised you merch. That was the
trade-off.
trade-off.
I think now we can't go merch. We got to go hood of a car or something.
Yeah.
I think you go trophy, Large. Those wins are just as much yours as they are his.
Yeah, his representative, James, had reached out. No, to our guy, James Hallis, shout out. And he had said, we want to thank Large, too, for holding off on betting him. So they know it's a real thing. They know I'm a fucking mush.
I personally think you should have been invited to the lobster boil after.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. So we may or may not be talking with Martin Truex. Even if we don't talk to him, there's one thing I did want to point out. We were talking about paint schemes last week, and if anyone was going to jump out, I love food paint schemes. Spider, the 47 car always does it for me. Whatever Ricky Stenhouse puts on, I'm a big fan of. I wasn't a big fan of Martin's. Martin ran the Reese's car this week, and all it had was a tub of pre-made potato salad on it. And it looked fucking awful. I've never heard of Reese's before. I looked it up. Devil egg potato salad, bacon ranch pasta salad, rotisserie chickens. It's all they do is just these tubs. Amish macaroni, ham salad, fucking Southern style potato and egg, smokehouse barbecue beans. A lot of this stuff, I don't fuck with that.
Doesn't sell itself though. You got to advertise.
I'm not. And if there are people out there who are Reese's stands or simps, please correct me and let me know that this is the best potato macaroni salad and I'm missing out on it, because I'll have some shit droned in tomorrow. But otherwise, having a generic tub of potato salad on your door, no bueno for me. No bueno for the 19.
I'm with you. To me, the best schemes of the weekend were the 47 Stenhouse drumstick car, as you said. I also liked Todd Gilliland's 38, the A&W root beer car. Yeah. I know we're a Coke podcast. Shout out Coke, number one. But I did like seeing that one. And then Kyle Larson's number 5, the red. He's running the Hendrick cars, which is cool. It is a clean car scheme, but I did like him mixing it up a little bit. I thought the Larson car looked pretty good this week. One I wasn't fond of.
Well, is it gonna? You say it. I got one to say too.
I think we're all going with the same spot here. My guy Brad K in the Build Submarine 6, a little and I know all these assholes in the comments are going to say it's a submersible, not a submarine. Listen, that's semantics. It's the same goddamn thing. It just felt a little crazy. Also, maybe I'm nuts. What NASCAR fans are going to be like, you know what? I need a submarine.
Well,
BuildSubmarines.com.
So I agree with you on
Help me understand
it's wild. I think it has something to do with like the Navy and funding for that and like whatever. But the website's BuildSubmarines.com. And there was probably something that they spent years getting the ad, or like a year getting the ad thing, and then the submarine just implodes and it's just bad timing. But yeah, just having a car that says BuildSubmarines.com is
I need a little bit more context. If it truly is for the troops, as Quig said, shout out, respect. We're all for the troops here. But at surface level, I should say, or under the surface, get it? It just seems a little crazy.
Didn't look that bad though. A black and white car is kind of cool.
Yeah. In lieu of a Twisted History segment, last week I said I was going to come back and defend Kevin Harvick. Quiggs had said kind of flippantly that Harvick's having a terrible season. He said that, yeah. Then we were like, I'm not sure if that's true or not. So I'm going to defend him just a little bit, right? I mean, you didn't shit on him. You're still a Harvick fan. I don't know if you think he gets a win.
I think I made a bold statement. I don't think he gets a win.
Yeah, he doesn't get a win. How about you, Spider? You think he gets a win? He raced well this week.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm going to say no, but I'm going to be very excited when he does.
And that's my take more than he's having a bad season is he's not going to get a win. And it's just the you can't do the no fucks given tour and then have a average season.
So yeah,
those don't align.
All right, so is it an average season? He's had a rut since Darlington, but he's finished P4 this week for his 5th top 5 of the season. That's above average. I think. If he sneaks a win in with at least, so that would be 6 top 5s, he's got 5 top 5s. Comparatively, we've been blowing Brad K, right? All we've been doing is blowing Brad K all season, and he has only 4 top 5s, and he finished 5th this week. So it's one of those things where, in comparison, Brad K and Harvick kind of are apples to apples, or at least they were at one point.
Yeah.
Right?
Not by betting standards, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Brad K's odds are always double Harvick's.
Yeah. And they're starting to get closer, though. He stayed off of pit row this week, and he led for 10 laps at New Hampshire, which surpassed 16,000 laps led for his career. It's a big number. This guy's been doing it for a long time. He's had over 800 career starts now. I started the season telling you how far he could climb up that all-time ladder. So he just jumped to the 8th all-time for career starts, not consecutive career starts. So he won't catch Awesome Bill from Dawsonville at number 7, and he's nowhere near Richard Petty, who has 1,184 starts. But with 800 and change, he'll be the 8th, I think, for quite some time. And I had mentioned earlier, so last thing I'm going to mention, I mentioned earlier about the sweeping of all 3 stages that Quiggs and I were sort of banding about. There have only been 24 instances of a sweep since NASCAR introduced stage racing in 2017. So that's how many times it's happened. Martin Truex Jr. is 7 of them out of 24, and Harvick is 5. So there's been 24 total in the past 6 years. And out of those 24, half of them are the 2 old guys, Martin and Harvick. And I think that's kind of extraordinary. So I'm still on the train. I think Richmond is where I said he might grab a win. I'm still on the Harvick train. I'm not jumping off like you traders have done. Go ahead.
Speaking of records and everything, Truex is now tied for 25th in wins with Kurt Busch. He's 1 behind Brad Kay for 24th. Do you think he can get past Brad Kay on the all-time wins list this
He just
season?
needs one.
Yeah.
He needs one more.
That's what
I'm
saying.
saying. One more than Brad, I guess.
Like
2 more.
one more would tie him.
One
with
more
Brad.
would tie.
Right.
He would take
Yeah, I
the
think he
lead.
gets a win. He's just like shown, which I mean, it goes to that stat. It's if he can get the lead, he's probably not going to give it up for the rest of the race.
Yeah.
So he just needs a good qualifying, start near the top, and once he gets up there, he's good.
We're going to go straight into the snake draft. The snake draft for the best NASCAR trophies. I don't know if we've set any parameters, but after I had found all the trophies that I kind of loved and hated, I dipped my toe in some Xfinity trophies, and those are wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're allowed to count them. I don't have any on my list, but I think they should be counted.
I think the rule should be, it doesn't necessarily even have to be the official trophy. It has to be something given to you after a race.
Yep.
All of our best ones have to be unique, but I think we can, if somebody takes a best, you can take it as a worst.
That's a good point.
I think that should be allowed.
Okay.
And it has to just be given at least once. I don't think it necessarily has to be
a repetitive
one.
Repetitive. Yeah. But if they gave
Wait,
you a
what
live,
do you mean by that?
I think he's saying if they
Like,
gave you a live
there's a-
chicken in 1952 and they never gave it again, it still counts.
Like there's
Right?
a few
Got it.
like there's a trophy that's just like a massive lizard because like Geico sponsored one.
Brad Kay won it.
Yeah, I think so.
I remember. I saw that.
Hopefully that
awful.
wasn't anyone's pick. I tried to pick a super random one.
It was awful, that one.
Yeah.
I saw one that was like a SpongeBob in the shape of a trophy.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's kind of just the basic rules.
All right, so
All
cool.
right, so how do we want to determine draft order? You want to go by betting record this season, or
I think we're going to start at the bottom and work up. So it's
Yeah,
going
we'll
to
go
be me
by age.
first, you, and then Quicks. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yep.
And the reason
Yeah,
we're going
and
to
are
do
we doing
this, the reason
snake draft?
Yeah, snake draft it. The reason we're going to do it in this order is because, this podcast is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Everybody knows how proud we are to be part of the Coke family. We just are. And how excited we are to get down to Daytona in a little bit, in a couple of weeks, to join all the boys at the Coke Zero race down in Daytona. I will tell you that if I'm going first, and by the way, if you don't agree that this is the best Coke ever, or if you're not sure, then give it a try and find out for yourself. And with the first pick in the snake draft of the best NASCAR trophy, I'm going right to 2010. The Coke 600 winner gets the first that Bruton Smith trophy, which looks like a big piston.
Yeah.
It's a cool looking trophy.
Yeah.
But they also get the restored vintage Coca-Cola vending machine. I've seen Denny with it in the background when he does Actions Detrimental. I know this seems like a homer pick because it's one of our sponsors and we're glad to be on board with the Coke family, but I would love to have that. I would love to have that as a conversation piece in my house, and to me, that's my favorite NASCAR trophy. So it's given
I
away
gotta
at the,
cross that
the
off
Coke
my
600.
list.
Yeah, it was up there.
It's a sick one. I'm like a big used to watch like storage hunt or the antique
Restoration.
and yeah, where they would like restore those, and I just love those like old fridges. They're like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Vintage Coke stuff always plays. And I mean, this is a trophy that's not only sick and vintage, but it's also functional.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be able to have your ice cold Coca-Cola in your basement or wherever you keep your trophies, that would be an unbelievable piece to add in there.
I jumped on the first pick. I insist on it just so I can get that out of the way because it's, almost like an ad read. But I swear to God, that's the one that I'd want above all others. And I got a couple more. So that goes to you, Spider.
All right, this one's easy for me. And this is one we saw in person early this season. I'm going with the Harley J. Earl Daytona 500 trophy. The thing is massive. It's prestigious. To me, that when you think of trophies, that one's really cool. Now, I don't know. I just think it's like the size of me. You got to transport it in its own little case. We saw Ricky Stenhouse bring it into that very studio you guys are in now. Everything about it is very cool. So to me, that's my number one. And I think a lot of drivers would agree if they could have one trophy, it would probably be that one.
Yeah, I think as far as like iconic and non-gimmicky ones, that's by like far and away the best trophy you can do.
And Daytona's different. Like, so Daytona takes your car. Right? For the season, you win, they take your car. The real Harley J. Earl trophy stays in Daytona. I mean, it's got a 5-foot base to it. It's, 1,000 pounds. So the one that Ricky was courting around, which again, that thing was like 100 pounds, was just like his copy.
Yeah.
But the big boy with that prototype on top of it, that prototype of the rocket car, which I guess that guy Harley Earl had designed, it's cool as shit. And you get the Rolex, and you get the ring. I mean,
yeah,
Daytona's. I mean, that's the.
That's
you don't
the
get an ice
spot to
cold
win.
Coke, but that's a good win. Yeah. I like that one.
So I have 2 picks, and a lot on my board. I think I'm going with something weapony. I'm gonna go with the 6-shooters. I think the combination of you get the guns. I think the trophy itself, the boots, is
terrible.
I think it's cool. I like it.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I think it's bad, but it's like I like it. You get the hat. And I was kind of like, do I take what beats a sword, a gun?
Right.
So I'm going to go with that, the 6-shooters, Texas Motor Speedway, which I don't know if it's gone forever. It's gone. It was gone this year. I think those will be back. And then I'm going with, which Large fucking hates, Miles, the monster.
Oh,
I love the big monster. I think it's sick how your car gets in there. I think it's a cool looking beast. I don't know how much it weighs. I don't know if it's like solid rock or if it's kind of like a lighter material, but I'm going with that. I got my weapon pick. And then I'm going with Miles the Monster.
So Miles the Monster, I'm crossing him off as they're going along. He was firmly on my worst list.
Oh, I know that.
Firmly on my worst list.
I
Quigs,
thought you
I
liked
love
them,
your
Spider.
picks. No, I love your picks because I don't like them. I like Miles, don't get me wrong. But in terms of picking trophies, I think there's other ones I'd much rather have.
All right.
We just shit all over you, Quigs. We shit all over you.
Take your pick now. What are you going to pick?
It's back to me, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go with – I'll just take it because I don't think this one's going to come back to me. I'm going with the Martinsville grandfather clock. I think it's iconic, and it's another one that all these drivers would love to have on display in their house. It's a conversation piece, and it's also massive. That thing's taller than I am. So
I hate
think
the
it would be
grandfather clock.
All right, well, there you go.
It's like grandma furniture.
I think it's really cool. I think
Jimmy Johnson has 8 of them. He has 6 wins, and then they give him out like commemorative ones too. That's where it gets a little problematic. Imagine being in Jimmy Johnson's house at the top of the hour. All of a sudden, 8 of those sons of bitches start going off at the same time. I like the
champagne
clock too.
problems.
I hate it.
Champagne.
Would you rather have a gun or a clock?
Clock.
You want a clock?
Yep.
All right.
You want a Glock or a clock? I'm going to do, and I think it's no surprise. I like the Sonoma Raceway one. Wine Country gets a wine trophy. Those barrels that they have, and then so if you see the actual wine, the trophy, it's I believe 5 wooden barrels, and then they have a gigantic bottle kind of cocked off to the side, and they give you a huge goblet with it. So I'm a wine guy. If everyone knows, Sonoma is right next to Napa on either side of the mountain. Napa on the east side of the mountain gets the proper sunlight to make the greatest Cabernets in the country. Cabernet Sauvignon in Napa. On the other side, in Sonoma, they make the best Pinot Noir in the country. Maybe Oregon can give them a tight second. So they fill all that stuff with great California Sonoma Pinot Noir. You get 5 barrels of it along with the bottle and the goblet. So as a booze bag, I'm doing that. So far I got 2 drinks. I had a Coke dispenser and the Sonoma one.
I knew you'd take the wine if it got to you.
Yeah, it's got to come to that. And then to come back to me, right? So for my final one, I think I'm going to go. It's one of 2 of them. I'm a weapons guy. I have them all over the place, so I got to go the last great Coliseum. So Bristol Motor Speedway, on top of this massive trophy, which is pretty cool, they give him a gladiator sword.
Yeah.
So to see like Joey Logano uncomfortably holding, the same thing that Maximus used in Gladiator, kind of I get a kick out of that. I almost went with Larry the Lobster, but to I don't know, like for me to be swinging a sword. By the way, I got some skills with that shit. I have to go with the sword. So I'm Coke, wine, and swords. Makes sense.
That was a great pick, Large. I think that was my next pick. You have to respect that. I also think Dave Portnoy has an iconic photo of him like gladiator
he's shirtless
mode.
holding the sword.
Really?
Yeah.
Ridiculous in the Bristol Media Center rather. Is back to me, correct?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna go with one that I think is. I don't know how you guys are going to feel about this pick, but this one to me is incredible, and I think it's another one that all these drivers would want to have. I keep saying that as if these drivers don't want to win trophies. Mm-hmm. So hear me out. The Cup Series championship trophy is massive. That thing probably holds like 10 gallons of liquid if you wanted to fill it. And the coolest thing about it is it has all the tracks interweaving, the outline of each track kind of intertwined in the base of the trophy, holding it all together, coming together for one giant massive cup. And I don't know, in terms of filling a trophy case, if you're filling up your shelf with things you want to brag about, Daytona 500 trophy, grandfather clock, Cup Series championship, if you get all those things, you had a pretty fruitful NASCAR career. So for that reason, I think that trophy deserves a lot of love, and I think it's very cool. Whoever came up with that design deserves a lot of credit.
Terrible security around it. I can tell you that.
So this season, I've touched the Daytona 500 trophy and the Cup Championship trophy. Maybe that's why I'm picking these ones.
I mean, you went right to it. Like, nobody stopped you. And you don't look like you run the joint. Like, no, I mean, you weren't dressing like a security-ish type thing. Or even like a golf shirt that said NASCAR. We were just kind of at the track, and you went behind the velvet rope and molested the thing with no repercussions, and then stole a small go-kart. Remember that little go-kart thing? Yeah.
That's right. I killed that thing in 10 seconds.
Yeah. All right, so that's your third and final. Quiggs, your third and final.
I made it. Liam, can you pull this one up to give Large a reference? So this is, I think, a one-off trophy. It's the Bass Pro Shops 500 2006 trophy. Tony Stewart won it. It is the biggest bear of all time.
Oh my God, look at that thing.
Look at that thing.
Oh, that's my favorite one of all time. I never saw that.
I think just having that in your house.
Yeah.
Tony Stewart won this one?
Yeah. And it is
so Tony Stewart
cool.
Notoriously lives in a Bass Pro Shops house to begin with. I don't know if you guys have seen those memes when he sold his house. People are like, Tony Stewart had this had went viral when he sold his house because people were just quote tweeting it. NASCAR fans, not NASCAR fans, they were like, this dude just lives in a Bass Pro Shops. It was like a giant log cabin.
They had him on like that Zillow Gone Wild Twitter account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that trophy probably fit perfectly with his aesthetic.
It's just about as big as you can. It's a statue more than a trophy, and Bass Pro Shops just has some cool ones in general. But yeah,
that's gorgeous. I mean, it's
not iconic or like it's one of those where it's not a every year thing, but it's just I saw it and it was like I have to take that.
So that's all of our picks, right?
Yeah,
that's
just the worst one. Which one do you like the least? So those are the three top for us. Then we got to go with the worst one.
Let's give some honorable mentions before we move on to the worst ones. I got to show some love for the Nashville.
Hold on, because we might
maybe
hate,
we should. Yeah,
we might hate one of the ones that you like. So we'll give it right till afterwards. Right?
All right.
Yeah. You want to keep going because you're still
I'll do my hate one. Grandfather clock's up there, but I'm not gonna take that as a hate. The SpongeBob one, I had that on my list of hate, but I love it. So it's creepy. I'm gonna go with, which, doing a little research for this, I saw it as a best trophy. I think the Poconos trophy is the tackiest, ugliest thing ever.
Is that the eagle?
The screaming eagle?
Yeah, it looks like a Walmart thing. It's just the triangle, and I think it's an American flag in the middle of the track with an eagle popping out. I guess it's American. I'm supposed to think it's cool. I think it's very ugly. So I'm going to go with that one.
I'll take it. Spider?
This one's tough for me because I have two that are really freaking hideous. But I think I'm going to go with the Watkins Glen glass corning, dildo shaped looking thing. It looks terrible.
Yeah.
It looks terrible. You win a race, I expect either a trophy or some kind of gimmicky SpongeBob or Giant Bear or something. But to me, just a glass, I don't know. You guys are notorious, as they say. It's because the Corning glass factory is right there, which may be true, but I don't know. To me, if you're going to show off your skills and you're glass creators, it should be a blown glass trophy, some sort of, I don't know. It's just
that's just nothing.
Yeah,
it looks like something you just put flowers in or something.
It looks like a vase or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Phoenix. So Phoenix, on top of the trophy, they have this guy, Bill Patterson, who on site paints the winner. I don't know if you've seen that. It's kind of cool looking. So he paints your car in the winter, coming across the finish line, and then the driver who wins comes over and signs the painting. It's a very, very cool idea, so I don't know why I'm putting it on my worst. The reason I am is because you don't get to keep the painting. Phoenix Raceway keeps all the paintings.
Really?
So if you're the winner, you can then commission the same artist to make a duplicate of that painting for you, which you'll then get a couple months later knowing that it's not the original. And I think that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
If someone's going to paint a huge thing of me coming across the finish line at Phoenix, I want that thing. So, Daytona does it where they give you a replica of the trophy, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime original painting, and anyone who has it in their house is basically rocking a replica. So I'm not a big fan of that.
I had that on my list, too, without knowing that info.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't like it. I just the painting, just, I don't know, something about it just didn't feel...
It's weird.
I was I don't like that.
We'll do a shout out now. I love Loud and the Lobster. They were saying they were changing the name to Larry. One of the things that I found to be very funny is that Denny had tweeted that he doesn't like lobsters anyway. But Denny has a legitimate phobia, and so if you look up the year that he won it, normally it's between 18 and 22 pounds, but I think when Denny had it, they found a 44-pound lobster for Denny that year. So it did look like a thing, but Denny held it like a gay guy holding a vagina for the first time. He was so fucking turned off and just confused and afraid of it that I almost felt bad for him.
I get that, though.
Yeah.
I've been fishing a bunch, and I just do not people they'll put the hand in the mouth. I don't like doing it, and I'm such a pussy whenever you have to hold the fish or whatever.
Right.
I get it.
What did you get? Honorable mention, Spider.
Honorable mentions for me. In terms of things I'd want to put in display in my man cave. You took the sword, so that one's up there. The Nashville guitar and the vending machine, the clock. Those aren't as much trophies, but more so display conversation pieces, which I think are really cool. But Talladega has this sick Vulcan trophy, which I think is really cool. And then also Auto Club, the West Coast, it just reminds me of the Beach Boys, the giant surfboard trophy I thought was really cool. And it's one that's going to be temporarily removed, maybe permanently removed, who knows. So Fontana Auto Club surfboard is
I had that on
cool
my worst list.
Oh, really?
It gives me kind of the Poconos vibe.
It's a little cheesy, but
just very
I like it.
But it's the only one that's given out twice. So they give you that trophy with the surfboard when you're there. Then they customize one for you, like with
you
your
get
stuff
an
on
actual surfboard?
And they give you an actual surfboard when you come back the next year.
That's cool.
So it's actually like they almost give you too much. I'm not a big surfing guy too. It wouldn't mean too much to me, but I think it's kind of cool they give it to you twice. So,
I also have a honorable mention for the worst one. And I hate to be critical of this race because I loved it, and I think you got to commend NASCAR for their job they did with it. The Chicago street race trophy was hideous.
Yeah,
it looked like someone ran over your grandma's exhaust pipe, and then they took it and screen printed like the Chicago skyline on the bottom third of it. I think in terms of this event, they could have done way better, and hopefully they can build on that moving forward.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of the Chicago one.
No one had mentioned it, but I think one of the things it's probably important is that the All-Star Race trophy, on top of it being a 4-foot piston, which is awesome, it comes with the greatest, side trophy, and that's a check for $1 million.
Yeah.
So
a jumbo check.
Yeah, keep all the swords and eagles and shit you want. Throw me the check for $1 million. That's probably, I'll buy my own wine. All right, so that's it. So that's the trophy snake draft. Unless there's anything else you wanted to mention.
No, I think that's it.
All right, so what we need to do now is we need to go into Pocono. So we're about to go into Pocono. This preview is brought to you by NASCAR. Tricky Triangle, like we had said, Long Pond, Pennsylvania. It's one of the few NASCAR tracks not owned by NASCAR or Speedway Motorsports. It's one of those ones that's not owned by the big boys. Very unique design. Each turn is modeled after 3 different tracks. People consider it a tri-oval, but the turns are much more severe than any typical tri-oval like a Daytona. The 3 turns are in no way the same, nor are any of the straightaways an identical length. Plus, the banking of each turn is considerably less than many other long super speedways, right? So even though this track is long, 2.5 miles, the sharp nature of the turns and the low banking tend to make average speeds on cup cars lower than in other tracks of similar lengths. So this is a difficult track, right? If you're on 3 different straightaways going into 3 different angled turns with not big banking, I mean, it could be an absolute disaster. So it's an interesting race to watch. And like I said, we're going to get plenty of it. You got the Truck Series, the CRC Bracken 150. It's this Saturday at noon Eastern Time. Then Xfinity, it's the Explore the Poconos Mountains 225 at 5:30 Eastern Time. And then the High Point 400 is Sunday, starting at 2:30 p.m. on the USA Network. So there's plenty to watch this weekend as far as NASCAR is concerned. And if you're anywhere near it, try to get your ass out to Long Pond. I'm on the fence. I still might go. I still might get my ass out there. So with that, we'll go to Picking the Tires. Brought to you by the Barstool Sportsbook, new and improved. We're back and better than ever on the Barstool Sportsbook. Who wants to go first? I can if you guys want to. I know I always kind of
go ahead,
Lars.
All right, I was tempted to take. What's up?
I was going to say, I feel like I always go first. So why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, I usually put it out there for you guys to do it. I was tempted to take Chase, right? Because, I am. And
just by default, like a he's due type thing?
Yeah, I think so. And he does well. I think he does pretty well in Pocono, but I'm not taking him just yet, right? So, and I also was going to take him because him and Ty Gibbs are the only 2 that are racing on Saturday. So he's racing in the Xfinity on Saturday along with Ty Gibbs. So I thought maybe Chase would get a little bit of, familiarity with the track and whatnot. I think it helps. But I think I'm going to stay away. I had to pick a winner. And so this week I'm going with Kyle Busch. I'm going to Kyle Busch at plus 650 to win. I can't pick winners, so I'm going to go Kyle Larson top 3, plus 200. I'll go 2-1 on Kyle Larson, and I'll go 2-1 with Tyler Reddick being in the top 5. Those are my 3, straight and narrow. Kyle Busch plus 650, Kyle Larson top 3 plus 200, Tyler Reddick top 5 plus 200. Those are my 3 bets.
The way Spider smiled, I think we all have.
Oh, we all have Kyle Busch?
I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? But
he's hard to pass up on.
I might just not take him. I mean, I did the same thing with Martin Truex last week. I just didn't take him because I felt like that was the move, and it ended up costing me. So, how about this? I'm going to give Kyle Busch top 3. I'm not sure what the current odds are that.
I think they're slim.
Probably plus 140 something.
If it's plus money, I love it. The music to my ears. I feel like, last week we had Larson, Joey, and Truex 1, 2, 3. So if we're not hitting these outrights, we're pretty damn close. And I'll take Kyle Busch for a top 3 rather. And then I'm going to give you some more juicy outrights because, like I said last week, I'm trying to make up some ground here. Get
Plus
back
150.
in the green.
Plus 150 top 3.
Sign me up.
Gotcha.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Other than that, 2 guys that I think have been really strong. William Byron plus 950. Maybe that's a homer pick, but he's leading the season in wins, and he's got much juicier odds than Denny, Truex, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson. So I'm gonna go with William Byron plus 950, and then also Ross Chastain plus 1,000.
Ross.
And yeah, I'm riding with Ross. I think Ross can potentially win this, and he's got 10 to 1. I'll take a flyer on that.
He was fast here last year. This is where Denny hooked him, right? At Pocono.
Maybe.
Yeah, I believe so. So he was fast here last year. I like the Ross Chastain pick actually.
Tyler Reddick 17 to 1 is intriguing to me. And also Chase Elliott 15 to 1, but I feel like I'm just, taking 100 guys right now. So
You're just seeing big names with big numbers.
that's right. I'm going to stick with Byron, Chastain, and then the Kyle Busch top 3. Those are my picks. Lock them in. Barstool Sportsbook. Quiggs, what do you got? I mean, you're the crystal ball connoisseur over there. So
which this week I'm trying to get another win. I'm just trying to keep the streak alive, and I think the best way to do that is taking 2 chalk picks. I'm taking Denny plus 550, Kyle Busch plus 650. They've won out of the last 10 races. They've won 6 combined. Denny's got 6 wins himself all time. I don't see really a way that at the end of this race one of them's not in the top 5, like with a shot to win it. So kind of boring, but I'm going with them. I have this pick I love. Brad K is in the matchups. Brad K is a pick'em against Bubba. Brad K's average finish is 10th all time at Pocono, and Bubba Wallace is 20th, which is a massive gap to be a pick'em. So I'm taking Brad K there, minus 115. And then my final pick is a plus 13,000 parlay. Denny Hamlin to win, Victor Hovland to win the U.S. Open or the Open.
Oh boy, I love it.
Big flyer. That'll really extend my lead if we can get that. So I guess people won't. I guess if you put it in the morning tomorrow, but that'll be just something I'm kind of doing on my own.
Be nice to see Denny get his 50th at Pocono. That would be his 50th win. But if you do go to Barstool Sportsbook, the driver matchups are actually pretty cool this week.
Yeah.
Alex Bowman versus Suarez. There are a lot of them that I consider kind of pick'ems. And you're right, the Brad K. Bubba Wallace seems to be an outlier. You know, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, right? Russ Chastain, Joey Logano, that's even money. Kyle Busch versus Kyle Larson. These are all pretty. Kevin Harvick versus Tyler Reddick. I love that matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great matchup.
Yeah, it's tough to pick somebody there. Ryan Blaney versus William Byron. I think, Spider, you should probably take a look at that, right? I mean, since you're so high on Byron.
Yeah, if I had to take these, I would probably take Byron minus 120 over Ryan Blaney, and then Suarez minus 110 over Alex Bowman, who's been running like shit.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then that's it. So everybody have fun going into Pocono this weekend on the USA Network at 2:30 on Sunday, and we'll see you guys next week on Rubbin is Racing.
Peace.